funding. Seconded by, firsted by Tim. Moved by Tim, seconded by Vicky. Yes, please.
First off, I'd really like to thank the staff and appreciate their commitment and the work that they did on the matrix and leading into this, and especially Richard, who's feeling unwell, so thank you very much. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank all the event organisers, whether they be groups, individuals, professionals or volunteers, for making the application. No matter what we do, we don't have enough funding to support everything. I think for every $2 applied for, we have around about $1 if we're lucky. So it has been a very hard process for staff and ourselves. If you'll remember back, we were together as the council and we went through a workshop with Richard and his team. Following that, it came to the Events and Festivals working group with the information supplied. And I do urge that if you've got any questions based on the matrix that was supplied, that this information is supplied to our staff for this purpose in confidence. So be very careful if you do have any questions. And apart from that, I think I'll shut up and we'll hand it over to the staff. And thank you again, guys.
Thank you very much. Essentially, first and foremost, I just want to make a point that we do actually need a resolution today. We have events that are starting next week that are reliant on the result of today. But also, I would like to introduce you to Sarah Amazinia and Karina Finney on my right, who've been part of this process. As a result, as already alluded, the recommendations were a result of the workshop on 7th of July and also part of this report. So essentially our recommendation is obviously to consider the information that's in front of you currently and for approval for the report to go forward.
Okay.
Questions?
Do people? Yes, Jimmy, then Yanni.
Thank you. The first one regarding to the 2015 Chinese Festival, New Zealand. I remember the last year actually council granted funding for $10,000, but why the not pulling here? Why the miss out?
So it's correct. It was awarded, allocated $10,000. It was withdrawn. The main purpose because of that was the event didn't go ahead.
No. Last year we granted funding for them. Last year.
Yes. We allocated funding last year,
yes.
But the event didn't go ahead. So we withdrew the funding.
Yeah, so that's my concern. What's the reason there? This year we withdraw. What's the reason there?
So
We're not making a contribution this year. We're not putting money in this year is the way I read it.
Yeah, I just want to know what's the reason there. We are not put in here.
The reason is that the festival is actually, what they're proposing this year is 4 months long. The event that we proposed to support last year was in the lead up to the Chinese New Year. We had worked alongside the organisers to propose a 2-week celebration long term around the Chinese New Year. They've now changed their minds. They're now going into a new direction. It's a very long festival for essentially what they've allocated within their budget. And we see that we've also invested quite heavily into the Chinese Lantern Festival for next year to ensure that goes ahead. So we would like to be able to put our efforts purely on the Lantern Festival going forward.
Okay. Second question is regarding to the Lantern Festival. Because the previous several years, we are all aware, they're organized by the Asian Foundation, you know. Then our council as a sponsors, we grant funding for $75,000, etc. But they also engage with some other sponsors and also Asian Foundation. But this year, this coming year, you know, your council as the key, unique organizers. But we raised the budget in here $24,000. I'm concerned the kind of the quality, you know, it's kind of standard of the value. How do we to keep the same standard of quality to make the event more attractive under the limited budget of $24,000? Whether the staff and any the the strategy to engage with the wider sponsors?
So this year, the events team, or council events team, have taken on board the organisation of the event. We are engaging with a number of sponsors. Remember, this is a partnership between Asian New Zealand and the Christchurch City Council. It's to ensure that the event goes ahead early next year. We had a gap year last year. It's a resounding event. It's a popular event for the population. We want to ensure that becomes a part of the fabric of our events going forward. Our events that the events team present are of always high quality. We want to ensure that this event continues to be of high quality. We're working closely with Asian New Zealand, and we foresee it to be another successful event.
So you're saying that you're satisfied that the $24,000 with leverage with other sponsors will be sufficient to put on a great event?
Yes, and we've also allocated some operational budget within that as well. We've got to make sure that we present this event at a high quality and we have a strategy for this going forward.
It's very popular, so I agree. Yanni?
Can I just... some of these questions have been asked 2 or 3 times, so I mean, if they've been asked and you weren't satisfied with the answers, it would have been really good to have got that information prior to this meeting. I realise it's late, but you know, we've worked through all of this, so if we can just work with the staff prior to these meetings, that would be really good.
Yeah, no, don't want to start the debate now. Yeah, Yanni?
I just wanted to check what the Six Nations International was.
Bowls event.
Right. Okay. I just note like things like the YMCA Carols by Candlelight estimates 35,000 people. Is that whereabouts do they hold it?
That's what they've put forward in their application. It's held in Latimer Square.
But how do you get 35,000 people in Latimer Square?
We have to go by what's in the application. We believe there may be some lower numbers allocated to this event.
So, yeah, I was just quite surprised by that. I mean, yeah, given that that's a really obvious one that just can't be real. How can we take comfort in the other figures that have been?
So we have staff working closely with the organisers. It has been ongoing and has been quite an historical event. We are working closely with them and will be doing so going forward to ensure either the event goes ahead successfully, but also any assistance that we can provide them with the event. Ultimately, it's not our event. We have to ensure that we produce top quality events in Christchurch, and we'll do everything that we can to make sure that the event is successful.
Okay, and I was just wondering maybe if the chair of the committee or someone could just explain why the decision was made not to fund the brick show and also the Ukanuba National Dog Show, which gets 40,000 people. And I don't know whether we are able to make amendments today, but just...
Well, we didn't fund it last year.
No.
So just given our focus on trying to make the central city and the city a child-friendly place, the Lego Festival, I thought, was quite a successful event, and also the dog show, which is a national event which has a huge crowd. So just maybe some feedback on those.
With the brick show, we fund it through this the seed funding. Actually, we had some funding left over, unallocated from the Events and Festivals Fund last year, and this went through the Events and Festivals Working Group. We provided the brick show of $10,000. Part of that discussion was that if they produce or were successful in delivering that event, that they would not come back to us for funding. And we wouldn't continue to fund that one unless they had something specific they wanted to target to bring within the event, e.g. a mosaic or a large Lego piece. I went to the event on the first day, very successful. They moved into their new venue very successfully. Plus also, I'd say, I haven't got the final report yet, but I'd say that their numbers increased from past years.
The dog show we didn't put forward due to it not being unique to Christchurch. It would be one-off, so it's not returning, so there's no aspect for development in it. And we believe to have minimal economic impact and a rather closed, unique group compared to the other events that were available.
Yeah. All right, so I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Carried. Thank you very much, and thank you for your help.